the more you spread the forces all over the back, so the more upright is better. The thing is, when you're too upright with small children, the head tends to fall forward when they sleep, when they fall asleep. So that's why you need some recline in the seat to keep the head in upright position during traveling. So the older the kids are, the more upright you should be. And well, basically we have a recommendation of 30 to 35 degrees angle. Now we're talking about the small children when you take them from the infant carrier to the next seat. So then you can have a maximum 30 to 35 degrees angle, and then you should keep it more upright the older they grow.
Normally we said it should go more or less 90 degrees directly inside or a bit, and talking a bit upside. What we are telling is that this should go more or less directly straight into the shell of the CRS, or a bit upwards, just a bit. The worst part is go downwards, and so to speak, go round the whole shoulder, because the seat belt itself, if you have a frontal impact now, is taught to straighten out, to go from A to B the shortest way. So it's trying to go like this. And what will happen then is that you have a compression on the whole body, which means that the spine will be like this. So that's not good to have it downwards. The question was if it's good to use the Q-dummy series in a lateral impact in the 129 test. And actually those dummies are not perfect for a lateral impact, but they are constructed both for frontal, rearward and lateral impact. So that's the best we have today.
Well, ADAC is doing another type of testing in comparison to like bus test and the regulation testing, and I believe that all different kinds of testing, of course, is important because you do test different things and you do get different results, and you have different opinions about it.
The question was, how should we build bridges between Spain and Sweden? And I think we have started very good today, actually. This is one part. Let's continue this journey together. And you're always welcome to Sweden, whenever you want.
And from a technical perspective, it's the middle position in the back, because that's where you're further away from all accident, no matter if it's a frontal or a lateral or a rearward impact. But there's also other theories about this in regards to how you can communicate with the child and things like that. But from a technical perspective, it's the middle position in the back.
More or less what Helena said just a few seconds ago. If you have a good contact with the dashboard, it will work. So the closer you are, so you don't bang into something, you start to push slowly, if you can speak of slow things in an impact. So you start to push instead of banging into the CRS. So it's good to have some sort of a side impact. And remember, rearward facing is always better even in a side impact, because normally the car that you are traveling in is moving, the impacted car is moving, and if you have a rearward facing CRS in that car, and there comes another car from the side and hit that means you have a forward moving movement of the dummy, of the child, sorry. So it actually moves into the most safest region in the CRS. It's completely surrounded by safety things. If you have a forward-facing system and have a side impact, the child will move out of the CRS, and the door, for example, can easily hit.
And that was the reason why I said that it is important that you have side airbags in the back seats and things like that, because the safer the car is in side impacts, it will differ for also a child. Is it okay if I add? It's also nowadays, when the things that is happening in China or also autonomous vehicle, that putting actually pressure on the car manufacturers to do more in the back seats, and that's something that will, of course, help us with the child safety, also for the older children, because back in the days it was just the frontal front seat that matter. So it's just recently that they add that to consumer testing, that the rear face. The rear seat also should be equipped with seatbelt reminders, but also load limiters and things like that.
Well, this is an interesting question actually, because there's always a difference between the test facilities, the test environment that we have, and the real cars. So basically the test environment that we're using for certification, homologation testing, that's built up by a worst case scenario. So it's based on, if you look at all cars on the market and really analyze them and see what's the worst case for a child restraint. And then we build the test environment based on that. So when we do the testing for certification, homologations, and other testing like the plus test, we always do it in a worst case scenario. So then when you compare that to real life, there's always a balance on, especially when you look in geometry and on the seats and size and different angles, things like that. So you always have to balance this in the products, and that's why we also have this possibility to have different angle levels of the seat, different positions and different geometry of the seat. That's basically because we need to adapt to the real life and we need to adapt to different cars. But everything is tested in a worst case scenario to be able to make sure that you really fit in most of the cars in the market. Well, I'm not sure if I understand the question, because a group 3 seat is up to 36 kilo and not 25, so... Okay, the question is about combination seats. When you have a group 2 seats, that's possible to use rearward and forward facing. Yeah. Our opinion is that rearward facing for as long as possible, as I think we have mentioned quite many times today, and that's something you should strive for. And a rearward facing seat that's designed to be rearward facing, it's meant to be rearward facing. They are not designed to be forward facing. So we always strive for having the rearward facing seat for as long as possible, up to 25 kilos, because that's the limit for according to regulations. And then you should switch to a booster. I think this is also something that Helena talked about, that you should not switch them. You should not use the combination seat and switch them to forward facing with the internal harness and things like that. So you should go rearward facing with the real seat that's designed for rearward facing. And you should go for as long as possible. When you have outgrown it and you can't use it anymore, then switch and use a booster. Do not turn them around.
Yeah, because the combination chairs is always a compromise. You can't make a good seat rear facing and forward facing.
The question was about ranking in plus test. And actually that's one thing that we like to avoid. We don't like ranking, because when you have passed all the tests, when you are on the label on, you know it's a safe seat. You can go into a shop or to the internet, and you see this label plus test, you know it's a good seat. That's the end of the story. You can compare it with the Olympic Games. You are trying to have a competition in high jumping, and you have a pre-test, so to speak, to be able to be in the Olympic Games. And you set the level of 189 or something like that. And those competitions who can clear that is in the race, so to speak. You never ever measure how high over the limit you are. You're in the race, you are in the competition. So that's the reason why we said if they have a plus test label, it's a good seat. So we don't rank them. And it's a volunteer test, so if a company comes to VTI, test the seat, and it will fail, we never tell anyone, never, because they can easily go home and do something about the seat, come back, okay, perhaps it could pass all the tests, or they have to go home one more time and do some more changes on it. So we never tell anyone of failure. Just look for positive things. The plus test label is a good seat, end of story. Voluntary, we are trying to do an ISO standard for those things to make it happen, but it should be voluntary. But if you look into certain cars, if you look into Volvo in Sweden, they have those hooks, or what you want to call them, for lower tether straps already since many years. So it's not a big deal for a car manufacturer to do it.
Most of the testing we do is in controlled labs with the test rigs that we have. And when it comes to real-life accidents and data from that, I know, Helena, for example, you work a lot with collecting data from actual real-life accidents. But that's basically data from the car, so we know what type of car child restraint it had, and if it's in a frontal impact or rear impact, or was it twisting during the impact or things like that. But we don't have any actual data for the car seat itself, for the child restraint itself, because we have no sensors in a child restraint when it's in a car. So what we can do is actually analyze the data that we can have from the car then, to see how the car has been handling, and then we can reproduce testing for that. Like, as I told you before, we do a lot of crash testing in the computers before, so we can take data from that and we can analyze it in the computer to see how it handles in different situations. And we can also do some testing in labs when we can switch around the rig and turn around and things like that.
And in real life crashes, we do in-depth studies in Sweden on all fatal crash. So, and then we do really in-depth studies. And when it comes to rear-facing children, it's just that you got a really severe intrusion with a heavy goods vehicle, or that you got something intrusion into from the side into that area that will be very severe. And then we have a couple of drowning that the car went into a lake or something like that. But it's really rare that they get a fatally injured in a rear-facing child restraint system.
And to me, the best data we can get from real-life accident and actually a proof of that rear-facing actually works is when you have accidents. When we had actually an example of that for a couple of weeks in Poland. There was a severe crash, car accident with when they were hit by a truck from the side and they turned around. And the parents were in the front seat and the driver's seat. They had got severe injuries and ended up in the hospital for a long time. And the child was sitting in the back in a rearward-facing seat, and they just pick up the child, some small bruises, and that was it. No hospital, anything. Of course, they went to the hospital to do the checkouts, but the child could leave the hospital the same day.
De momento, la mayoría que nos han llegado siempre han ido a favor de la marcha. Yo creo que posiblemente los que han ido a contramarcha, quiero pensar que no han tenido estas lesiones para llegar al hospital. Normalmente los que hemos ido preguntando sería cuestión de hacer un estudio. Como digo, hay veces que no lo sabemos y hay cosas que preguntar a las familias nos resulta un poco violento, pero sería cuestión de sí que empezar a tomar datos. Pero la mayoría que yo sepa iban a favor de la marcha.
And I have a question for you, because I'm missing a question that's normal. So I would like to ask if anyone in this room know how hard you should pull the internal harness. You put the child into the seat, put the internal harness on, you lock the buckle, and then normally you have a central adjuster that you pull in. Can anyone tell me how hard you should pull in this central adjuster? Wrong answer. Would you like to know? Put the child in, take a hard grip on the central adjuster and start to pull. and pull until the lips get blue on the shaft. And then you release it a bit. Then you have done a perfect installation.